alone, thank you for pressing play. Welcome to A Beer with Bear or Any Other Beverage. This is episode 77 featuring Rick Stojak, a renowned drummer of various bands, notably one of psychobilly's finest, the Barnyard Ballers. In this episode, I had the pleasure of chatting with Rick via StreamYard earlier this year. We delved into his extensive music career, including his involvement in past projects and tours, as well as his journey joining the Barnyard Ballers back in 1995. Rick also shared insights into his Drum Academy, multi-volume instructional book, and podcast. If you're a longtime listener, you might recall Rick's brief appearance on episode 24 with the Barnyard Ballers recorded at the Long Beach Cyclone. I always find speaking with Rick very enjoyable. He is such a positive and talented guy, and I am certain you will feel the same way. Don't forget to visit his website at rickstojak.com for more information and to contact Rick. I'll provide a link in the episode description. Beer with Bear is available to listen to where podcasts are heard. Spotify, iTunes, just to name a few, Libsyn, and SoundCloud.com. If you like what you hear, please support the show and the artists to come on by hitting subscribe, leave a rating, write a positive review, and tell your friends. While you're at it, don't forget to like us on Facebook at Beer with Bear Pod, Twitter at Beer with Bear, and Instagram at Beer with Bear Podcast. That's right, due to some technical issues, we are no longer using the Beer with Bear Pod handle. The account's still up, but you want to follow us at Beer with Bear Podcast. There with the other socials, you'll find pictures, updates for upcoming episodes, and it's also the best way to contact us. We'd love to hear from you. Theme music by Chris Helking, graphic design by Jeremy Fletcher, mixing and post-production by Ryan Miles. Thank you very much and enjoy. This is it. We made it happen. It's actually happened pretty quick. Typically, it takes me a lot of time to schedule these things. You know how musicians are, but I think you're a little bit more professional. Also, I'm terrible myself, so I can't blame only them.
Well, man, it's really totally fucking cool to be on this with you, man.
Hold on, let me put that in the bottom. Rick Stojak. How do you pronounce your last name? Is it Stojak?
Stojak.
Where is that? What's that last name from?
That is like Prussian, Polish, German. It's kind of like we don't know.
Oh.
Because borders are always changing. So, but I believe it's Prussian, Polish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So those who are listening, before we get started, Rick, you're most notably known, especially for my listeners, for the scene, for psychobilly, for the band the Barnyard Ballers.
Ah.
And the Barnyard Ballers, you're actually on my show, I want to say, what was it, 2015 or 16? When did you guys play the Long Beach Cyclone?
Might have been our last gig. Yeah, it was 15 or 16.
Okay, hold on one second. That episode I have right here, I remembered it as I was talking to you, then I forgot. So, and like I said, for that one, you came in kind of late, so you didn't really get to, you weren't on the episode as much as I'd like you to have been on, considering that you're a founding member of the Barnyard Ballers. Oh, episode 24. So that was episode 24 with Spike, Steven, and then Chris was kind of there, just laying down. He was a little drunk.
I remember that. You were just getting started, Bear. You weren't even a bear yet, man. You were just a cub.
By that time, I was pretty big. So I wanted to bring you on because, like I said, to make up for the since not having you on that show, I wanted to talk to you about, of course, some of the origins of the Barnyard Ballers, stuff we missed with Spike, and then not only that, you have a drum academy.
Yeah, basically drum school.
Okay, tell me about the drum school real quick. Not real quick. Take your time, but you know what I mean. Let's start with the drum school, then we'll get into the Barnyard, and then go from there.
Right on, man. Well, I have it's Rick Stojak's Drum Studio is what it's called. And I teach in San Diego. And I also do online lessons. And I usually work with about 80 different drummers a year. And Almost all adults and a handful of teenagers. I don't really work with kids anymore. And I teach all styles, and I love it, man. Everybody's on a drum kit at the same time. And I wrote a method book series called How to Build a Drum Groove.
Interesting.
And,
okay.
What it does is it'll teach you a beat, like a basic drum beat. And then I found like known songs that use that beat. So.
Oh, I see. Can you give me an example?
Well, it's the most straight up.
Yeah.
Right, boom, bop, boom, boom, bop.
And then the what about the punk rock 1 2 1 2?
Oh, like an upbeat.
Yeah, that's.
So there's about 1 million songs that use that. Happy Ignorant People by Barnyard Ballers had that.
Yeah. We actually have a clip of that we're going to show in a few minutes. But first, I want to plug in. So you have a website for more details and for your book. Let me pull that up real quick. I can see right there, rickstojak.com. You're able to get that up.
Dude, so high tech. There's the book series too.
Yeah, there it is. The book series. Is this video tutorials too you can purchase?
No video tutorial. No.
Not yet.
Not yet. But each book references about 400 different songs. I've got a lot of affiliates with drum equipment manufacturers too. A lot of sponsors.
That's nice. Yeah, that's pretty valuable too, because I remember growing up, getting into the music scene. YouTube was in its early stages. Even when I first started playing, it wasn't around. So one thing that was good too, because I never had the good ear like some people have, when I could hear something and pick it up. I had to watch people play. So a lot of times I would watch live shows and try to pick out, okay, it's going right there. That's where it's at, I do that sometimes too now with bass lines and stuff. But I love those tutorials now. But I don't really know of any for psychobilly. I kind of just have to watch videos or kind of guess. But what I was going to tell you was, so tutorials is something I wouldn't call it tutorials, but I like the clips you show. You have some clips on Instagram and what's it called? YouTube.
Yep. I got a lot there. I'm going to be doing a lot of covers, psychobilly covers, and putting them up on YouTube.
Okay, I'm excited for that one. So first, I'm going to show a tour of your studio for people. For listeners, sorry, I'll have to clip this and put it on our social media. But here's a little tour for the people watching this clip. And then, you're going to hear music, but we're watching a tour of his studio.
Welcome to Rick Stojak's Drum Studio.
Wrong one. And you can see some of your affiliates there too. You mentioned some of those brands.
Dude, thanks for showing that, man. That's I'm here like 30 hours, 40 hours a week teaching drums, man. And
I like the vibe. Even the little promo you did there, very positive. That's why when it's funny, I was mentioning before when you said you cussed. Oh, you heard me cuss. How like I'm used to the Barnyard Ballers, perverted man, like perverted man, like lyrics, the music, the style, the live shows. But when I talk to you, I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard you cuss.
Bear, I don't know how I ended up playing in a band with such foul mouth, cussing bastards, but I love them, man. I'm definitely like the straight man in there, So, I appreciate you showing that video too. That I have to say, that jam in there, that was my late brother on guitar, and my best friend Ed. We had a band in the '80s called Be Wild, B.WILDE, and we almost got signed to majors. We had all these major labels bidding for our band. And it just never happened.
I see.
Um,
This is the '80s too, and not
uh,
a lot like now. Record companies, labels are a lot. They're very. How do I say it? What would you say? Slimy.
oh yeah, we could say that.
Yeah, very slimy. Very. Yeah, very shady. Screwing over the artist.
Oh man, dude, there was all kinds of stuff. We had this production company where they brought us into the studio, and they spent $50,000 on of studio time to record a demo. So it was all ready to print, really, all ready to press, right? And then they would shop it to record labels, and so all these labels were way like, oh yeah, and they were bidding for us. So it was really good. So we thought at a young age, I thought I was going to pop. I was playing in the New York City scene. At 16, I would played CBGB. It was my first gig, and it was awesome, man. It was a really really hard working band, man. We practiced like just fucking crazy. We never ever stopped playing, and all. But they're not just going to record you and shop you to a record label without having a say about the sound.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? They're like changing lyrics, and we want it to sound this way, and we want it to sound that way, and and we got a quick education about, like, you can't just go, oh, I got to keep it. If somebody's paying the bill,
Yeah.
it's hard to say, oh, I want to play it that way. They're like
kind of like so this band's really popular right now. Can you sound like them so we could kind of cash in on that craze or in that trend?
That kind of thing. Yeah.
I know that happens with movies too. Like someone will write a script like, can we do this to it instead?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so tricky because a lot of times back in that era, they're like, you guys sound too much like that band. So we already have that band. So we don't want that. We've already got a band that sounds like whatever,
Yeah.
like whatever's hot at the time. And then if you sound different, then they would say, well, you don't sound like anything else. So
they'll have a hard time marketing you. So they think,
yeah,
they don't realize the thing called subcultures.
Yeah, exactly. Which led right to psychobilly.
Let's talk about that. So you mentioned you're in New York, CBGB's 16 years old, and then from what I understand, Barnyard was formed in San Diego. How did you end up with such filth, such foul-mouthed, ass coddling, lettuce chewing?
Well, yeah, man. I mean, I was trying to make it as a drummer, playing original music. I didn't want to be a cover band kind of guy. And my brother and I were just full on dedicated to making our bands happen. And we put in well over a dozen years trying to make it happen. And, and original music doesn't pay much, as anyone in the scene knows. And well, eventually we gave up on it. And I was like, you know what? I just want to play some music that I dig, and some that I think is cool. So it's 1995, and I pick up our local magazine, The Reader. It's called, Looking in the Want Ads, which is something I've only done twice ever in my whole as a drummer. And I see this ad. It said drummer wanted double snare. And, I'm into electronics and cool sounds. I don't know if you could hear that little.
Yeah, let me hear something. Yeah. What is that?
That's
Oh, I see. Very. Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
Multi-pad is what that is.
Okay. Hold on. Actually, I got a video where you're using that pad. Let me show that for the audience. Cool. Hold on. We'll go back to Barnyard right now. So that's the pad right there. You can change different. You can make different noises on it. I like it.
Oh yeah, man. You can make all kinds of sounds on it, which I'm into making sounds. That was all me, everything that you just heard there.
Yeah.
Dude, you've done your homework to play that kind of stuff, man. That's really cool. So,
Yeah.
I like taking drums out and I love drum in all styles. I like really exploring sounds. I like, to me, like a keyboard, like a person could play piano or play a keyboard and start making cool sounds with a keyboard. So why can't a drummer do that, right? Why not use electronic percussion also, And some people might go, well, that sounds gimmicky and all that, but cool sounds are cool sounds, I don't. So
like you mentioned, pedals.
Yeah, exactly. Guitarist uses echo and distortion, so why can't a drummer do, whatever the sound. So I look at this ad and it says drummer wanted double snare. I'm like, double snare, that's like not a common term. So I'm thinking like, right, this snare, that sound. That's what I'm thinking they're looking for. So I call up and call the ad, and Rob Kuwait, the guitarist, songwriter for Barnyard Ballers, answers, and he said, I want double snare, not like electronic, two sound like two snares in a row. Can you hit two snares in a row? Like, what the fuck? Yeah. He goes, no, fast. I'm like, and he goes, real fast. And that's what he meant, double snare.
Ah, yeah.
To go with the upright bass, right? To go with the slap bass. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of like a country gallop, Western kind of gallop and kind of very Johnny Cash. And he goes, yeah, but we're psychobilly. It's 95. I'm like, what's psychobilly? And he's like, well, it's kind of punk and it's kind of, we're really into roots country and rockabilly, and it's all mixed. So he plays me a demo over the phone, and it's Spike just screaming, just like, it sounded like nonsense, it was, and I'm like, I don't care, man. There's something about these guys, and so I went over to go jam with them, and they were just so talented, man. Rob's songwriting was just so amazing, man. He made songs with great choruses. A lot of the music was a little bit perverse, a little bit, but it all had a funny edge to it, His
guitar playing was really good. His country had country twang, but like rock, like it was very. I don't know. It's like punk, but country. Very. I can't describe it. Like I can't think of another guitarist who's been able to duplicate that. Can you? I don't know.
You'd have to go back to start listening to roots country. Listen to like, I don't know. Buck Owens is the first thing that.
Yeah. Well, when I say duplicate, I mean I don't mean people can't play it, but I'm saying for psychobilly at least. I can't think of a band that plays the way he plays in psychobilly. Correct myself there.
Yeah, and he's just really, really knows his music and knows the roots of it, where it came from, and I think that's really, really the key to being creative and relevant, is to be super diverse and really know the history of everything, and then you could take it and apply it and see what works, and then make it your own. So so so
it's 1995. You answer an ad. Rob answers a phone, and then let's talk about the first time him and Spike actually got together and played.
Yeah, it actually really clicked. It really, really clicked, and I was like, I think these guys are like serious trying to like make it as rock stars. But I really, really wanted to have some fun with music. And the thing about what they did, and psychobilly has two drum grooves. Generally, if you could break it down, you got your upbeat and then you got your shuffle. Right, boom, ba 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 ba. That bouncing, in the drumming world, that's the shuffle, and then the fast swing.
Yeah, that sounds like Barnyard there.
So
that reminds me of Crazy Bastards.
Yeah, Crazy Bastards, that was really, really pedal to the metal fast. I threw a lot of double bass in that. So this is what is so cool about it and why I loved it so much. I mean, that's rooted in some jazz, man. Right? This, and especially on a floor top, if you start off on a hi-hat, you've got roots rock. You've got Chuck Berry, Little Richard, We'll bring it to a floor tom. I mean, that's so much of what we play in psychobilly, and it's all rooted in it. So then I'm like, wow. And then they have country, Rob with his country. Then you had train beats. So the drums mixing okay? Can you hear the drums okay?
Yeah, the mix is okay right now. So basically what you're doing is you're breaking down different pieces when it comes to psychobilly drums. My question is, when did the double snare come in? Like you mentioned earlier, it was because you're showing me everything else, but when was that something in particular Barnyard was asking for?
Yeah, absolutely, because they wanted it to go with the double.
Oh, that's right. You did say that. I don't know why. Well, I'm asking again.
Yeah. So, God, Silicon City had it.
Oh, yes.
It might be a city. Part of the body, right? If it's underneath the skin.
And here's the part where you sing, "What do you like? What do you like, Rick?"
I ain't saying it.
I like big titties.
So that's the thing, right? Like why I love them so much. They have that song with that title. Well, who can't relate to that? Whether
Silicon
you do
City, yeah.
But it's funny. It's funny. It's not meant to be misogynistic or anything like that. Or it was just funny is really what it is, and catchy.
Yeah, I remember when I brought up the whole thing to Spike about the Confederate flag and the animal, the logo with the hillbilly banging the goats and sheep. He said that well, we were making fun of rednecks. It's like we're not really rednecks. We're making fun of it. That's what the whole thing is. It's not like you mentioned. It's not serious.
Yeah. I think that's where they were going for. I will say I did not write any lyrics or have anything to do with any of that. Dude, I'm the drummer, and I did a lot of them, a bit of business trying to hold it together a lot.
Yeah.
And so, that was a problem. I foresaw that. I understood that where they were going with it, and that a lot of rockabilly, and psychobilly used that Confederate flag, and I think and Southern rock bands did too.
Yeah.
And there was no, Leonard Skinner. There's no racist intention whatsoever. Like that's not. It was just sort of like, hey, we're rooted in country, hillbilly, Southern culture, and we're trying to do something cool with it, and so I'm sorry if it ever offended anyone. And this era now it represents.
Yeah, well,
so it really is something that we're like, well, we're not really a band anymore. So, but it's not something that we ever would promote. I think on the whatever social media, which Spike manages that.
Yeah. Well, you had the Confederate flag on your logo, but it wasn't like every single logo. It was just like, a couple of variations of it. The one with the hillbilly skull with the Confederate flags, what you're going for, the fucking, the skull, the bull skull. But you had other logos. It wasn't like exclusively Confederate flag, Not that I'm defending it I'm just simply saying that it wasn't everything about you guys.
Yeah. So, that's it, man. So, it's 1995. I did the Rock Out With Your Cock Out album. and
sorry.
Oh, here's the story for you. I don't know if you have that and could pull up that album cover.
I can't. George usually could. He's not here yet, but I know exactly what you're talking about, the sketched album cover. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well,
not sketch, but like it was black and white.
Yeah. Spike. Yeah, it was black and white. Mark Rude, the famous punk rock artist, made that cover. I think I have the guy's name right.
And then I think in the back it was you guys like grabbing a pig. Or
the
chasing
back.
a pig?
We were chasing a pig. We were chasing a pig around. Yeah. Mark Rude, I think was the guy's name. He was a real pretty famous artist for album covers. So, but so Spike, I think it was Spike, not Rob, said, yeah, we're going to call the album Rock Out With Your Cock Out. So I'm telling my late brother, Robert, who I played with all the years, in Be Wild, our 80s band. And I go, man, I'm in this band, Barnyard Ballers. We're going to do an album called Rock Out With Your Cock Out. And so he grabs a napkin, and we're at a diner, and he drives this bar, he draws out a little farm scene, right? And he draws a rooster, but the rooster's got this little human dick.
What the fuck?
And it's just hidden in there, man. If you could it's just so hidden.
Oh, really? So, I'll look for it.
You look at it, it's so subtle. It's so subtle. And so I took the napkin drawing and I gave it to Spike, and he takes it to this guy, Mark Rude, and Mark did that album cover and that black and white pencil, and then I'm like, I bring it back to my brother, and he's like, dude, I was only kidding, man. I did not think you guys would actually do that and put that on an album cover.
I think Jeremy, when she did your episode icon for the Barnyard Ballers episode, she based it off, I think, somewhat to that. You guys were like black and white, I think, and it was kind of that feel from that album. No cocks, though. I don't think she saw it either, so.
Yeah, it's so subtle. So
yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I think I'd prefer that one to show your parents than the Nudie Bar Blues one.
Yeah,
I remember I was in high school when I discovered you guys, and I remember seeing the cover for Nudie Bar Blues. I'm like, holy fuck! I've never seen anything like that. I'm like, you're used to psychobilly. I'm used to like zombies and spooky things. But all of a sudden, here comes Barnyard Ballers, just ass cheeks and.
You know what? I had nothing to do with that one either.
You're behind all of this. You're behind all of this, Rick. Just come clean.
It's all him. Yeah. No, man, dude. I've been a professional drum teacher. I have endorsements with major companies. I have played on all kinds of music, and how I landed into that, it's just really, really funny, because I'm like, man, there's a lot of stuff like I can't really play because lyric that and that was in an era before. Now anything will offend people, and I respect that too. That's fine. But everything we ever did was supposed to be funny,
I have a clip of you doing Happy Ignorant People. Would you like me to play it?
Sure, that'd be fun.
All right.
Like.
When I look at you, well, I see right through you. You're not very old. You keep running the wall. Happy government people. You are what I'll never be. Happy government people. Damn it, now they see me.
That is an amazing song.
Thanks, man. We
was there any anything perverted in that one? I don't remember.
No. In fact, that one was where I'm like, Rob, can you write something that I could actually play for my family? That's not like, poking on hillbilly culture, and so he came up with that,
Yeah.
And that one was really fun. That's got the ska bridge, because.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too, because you're talking about some of the psychobilly shit, the ska part in that one.
Yeah, it was just about ready to come up, where it go.
He does a hook.
So it's back and forth between that boom tap and that and so that's why I'm just so grateful to have found psychobilly and to found Spike and Rob, because I could really be creative as a drummer, and that's why I love psychobilly, and that's why, like, man, if you're a psychobilly drummer, man, it's not an easy thing to do.
Especially if you're standing.
Yeah, which I've done a lot of that. I did a lot of that with Bambula, and
That's right. You know what? I'm
yeah.
gonna pull up a video later because I have a video of you guys in 2008. Funny enough, I saw it when I was pulling up that video. I'm like, holy fuck, I'm in the crowd. I'm like, ugh, I'm all fucking fucked up looking. But it was Matt and was it Adam from Bambula? Is that his brother's name?
They subbed for a little while, in Barnyard Ballers, but Ballers is always Rob, Spike, and I.
Yeah.
But when Rob went up to Seattle for a little while, they did a little subbing, and we had rotating bass players forever. So
you've been around the music scene, you mentioned, since the 80s. So you saw psychobilly when you said, what is psychobilly? Did they give you any kind of, I guess say education? They give you albums as reference, or did they want you to come in fresh?
Yeah. Oh, man, that's a great question, Bear. Spike gave me a cassette. Y'all remember what cassettes are?
Yeah.
And it had Mad Sin,
had
Necromantics on it. And then it had like cool old Western shit, like way like roots Western stuff too, that he thought was cool. And what else was on it? I have it over there. I'm too wired up right now to go grab it. But
you actually have the cassette with you?
Yeah, I have it. Yeah, the cassette is in this studio. Yeah, I still have it because it was so impactful on my life.
Interesting.
And I loved it. I loved it like right from the get-go. I'm like, this music is cool. This music is fresh. It's interesting. It's ballsy. It swings like rockabilly, but then it's like bone crunch and metal. I'm like, this is the best music. This is where country should have been going too, instead of pop country of today. So yeah. And I loved all those bands. I think there was a Godless, which is one of my favorite bands, Godless Wicked Creeps, were on it, who we had a great tours and we have really great friendships with Godless Wicked Creeps.
Yeah, I saw when I posted that episode I did with Dax. You sent me a picture or put on my comment picture of you guys like in the 90s. Yeah. I'm like, oh fuck yeah. I remember them mentioning cool that they were they're always very tight with you. And I hope in the future to definitely get you and Dax in the same stream again and have a little reunion.
Oh man, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I stay in touch. I stay in touch with him. He's coming back on the show.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Those episodes, I would tell everybody, go back and listen to those Dax episodes, like Godless Wicked Creeps contribution to psychobilly was huge, just huge. And I remember when we first, I think it was 99, we did a tour with them of the states, like the Western states, played like Colorado and San Francisco and I'm like, find out we're touring with a band called Godless Wicked Creeps. And I'm like, oh my God, what are these guys going to be like? Are they going to be all hardcore? Are they going to be, with a name like that? It's a pretty harsh name,
Yeah.
So, and then we meet them and they are like three of the coolest dudes I've ever met, man. Kim Kicks, funniest person I ever met, man. This guy is like a walking animation. He is just the funniest person. And Martin on drums, talk about a great stand-up drummer and the just most mellow guy. And Dax was just his voice. That's psychobilly to me, like his voice that he has.
One thing about Dax too is similar to you guys is his he has a very Western style, very what I'm saying is basically his guitar playing is very signature as well. Like you hear it, you know it. Barnyard, you hear it, you know it.
Yeah, and maybe that's why we clicked so well, because you asked about who's doing that little Western kind of sound like that Rob had. And I would say Dax. Just think of the intro to You Better Run. Bow, 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 bow. Wow, now. I can't sing, obviously, but talk about a melody that sticks, right?
Oh yeah.
Pull that right out. It's just there. So, yeah, those are great guys and seriously great musicians, and we had great times touring with them in Europe as well. And
were you did you do that last show with them? Because he mentioned that little document. How would you call it? He calls it not a documentary, but a little thing he did, a profile on for Bad Billy Records on YouTube. He mentioned his last show was, I think, Seattle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you on that show with him?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Barnyard played. I think they did a couple shows up in maybe Santa Cruz, or no, we played with them in Santa Cruz. They did a couple of shows, I think, in San Francisco. Then they came down and we did the whole rest of the tour with them. So yeah, I was really, really bummed, man, because the Seattle, we knew it was just going to be his last show.
Yeah.
We were really, really bummed. And
unfortunately, by the time I got into the scene, they were already broken up. And there's I mentioned this in a recent podcast about there's something about catching a band in their prime. You see a band now, it's not the same when they're much older, because I guess you could say they lose their edge. They have a few kids, they're not singing about big titties anymore. They get a drum studio, they soften up. But you got to see Dax. You got to see Dax and Kim and Martin in their fucking full prime when they're, as Dax mentions, newly in love when they first got together.
Yeah, newly in love. Yeah. That's there's, I think when you have chemistry and you've got something special, you should just try to stick with it. Yeah. It's just like many times like, I'm going solo and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like actors too, right? Like if you're on a hit TV show as an actor, stick with it. Just. You're not going to go solo and have some big career, most likely,
What's it, the typecasting?
Yeah, typecasting.
Typecasting, yeah. There we go. Typecasting.
I will say this, though. So Barnyard Ballers toured with Godless Wicked Creeps in Europe with the second lineup. And that had Kim's brother, Lars, on vocals.
Yeah.
And we brought in this nice guy, Nick, who is a seriously good guitarist. And they did that album. I forgot the name of the album. Smile. They did the Smile album. And I tell you what, live, it was so good. Like that lineup was significant, man. I mean, really, really good. And not a lot of people got to see that, So the album, I don't think they captured it fully, how great they were on that album, on the recording.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just that it was so good live. And we were with those guys on 9/11 in Germany.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you're in Germany. You see the tower. Like, oh wow! It's like I'm thinking. Wait, so you watch the towers fall? You're like, was there any fear about flying back? Like, oh fuck.
I wasn't too worried about flying back because we were there for a little while. It was early in the tour.
Oh, I see.
And it was really poignant, man. I'm at the post office and in Germany, and this lady says, "Are you American?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, Go to the TV, bombs blowing up." And I'm like, "What?" And we put on the TV and we're watching the towers come down, and it was Godless Wicked Creeps. I think we were hanging with Cenobites.
I was going to ask you too, who else was on this tour too? Because I'm thinking when you guys were playing, there was a lot of bands like in their prime. You were in your prime when I saw you. It was insane the kind of energy you guys would have, and I'm going to play a video later. So you had the Cenobites, who I only got to see once.
Yeah, we played a lot. We played with Mad Sin a lot. Out there and all. And so, yeah, man, when we're watching all this stuff going down, and of course everybody's thinking, God, this could be World War III,
Yeah.
And this was so cool because everyone was like, well, this is attack on America. I know there were German guys, there were Danish guys, there were a lot of people from a lot of countries in the band all watching, all crashed out at somebody's house, probably the promoter at the time. And they were all like, we got you covered. We got you covered. If somebody's going to fuck with America, then they're going to have to fuck with Germany. And we're like, wow, that was really, really cool. And it left you this level of comfort, And then we went to, Cologne, I don't know if you know Germany, there's the famous dome. It's the church cathedral, the 1,000-year-old cathedral with the two towers. It's one of the craziest buildings I've ever seen in my life. And it was completely covered with flowers. There's a huge steps there, all for the victims of 9/11. And that was in Germany. And that was touching, man. That would give you some emotion seeing that.
Imagine that's that's fucking crazy part of history. And like, you were out of the country, so you got to see how the another part of the world reacted to it.
Yeah. And so this is interesting. I don't, one of my other favorite bands is Mad Sin. And, it was before Andy was on drums. And Andy's one of my other favorite psychobilly drummers. I know he's not with Mad Sin anymore, but
I don't know who's in Mad Sin anymore. That lineup's been changed so many times. I think when Andy, Manny, like when I saw him, last time I saw him, I didn't know any of the songs. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Andy was the pinnacle, man. I'm sure other drummers who played on the recordings were great. And Kofta himself is a great, like, pocket psychobilly drummer, no nonsense, just boom tip with feel and vibe. And they had wanted me to be in the band, man. They asked me, Tex and Stein, I clicked really well with them. So but it was just too hard to do, like, to move to Germany. And it was right during 9/11, and you're like, wow, we might be having this war. Am I going to quit my day job and quit what teaching I was doing at the time and, go on the road with Mad Sin? And so I didn't do it. And, so I'm just glad that they're still out there. They're still playing, pretty cool.
All right, so you did that last show at Godless. You did that tour in 2001 during 9/11. When you guys came back, so this is like around 2000. So 2001, I was introduced to you guys around that time. 2002, I saw you at the West Coast Records Ball. Let's talk about from that time on.
I don't remember a thing, man. Solid blur. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. Because I know you guys were always what's it called, co-headlining with bands. You were like the opener for a lot of like headliners. Like Barnyard would go first, get the crowd going, because you, like, at the time you had a really big following.
Yeah. Well, that was just so amazing about this scene, and why psychobilly was so cool. It's bands all working together, and a scene supporting it, and promoters all working together. So, if you're playing a psychobilly festival, it's going to be 2 days or 3 days, and you're going to meet people from all over the world, and all of these killer bands from Europe are coming in, and it's kind of a comfortable spot to be second to last. Not last, right? And and it's a little less pressure, honest. And I don't know, man. I think maybe because we were so different with our country edge, that no one was worried about like, they weren't intimidated by Barnyard Ballers playing before them, but they knew that we were going to get the crowd really, really wired up. And that happened every time. So God, man, we backed up Demented or Go and Klingons,
Coffin Cats, Frowning Flintstones.
Yeah. Guanabats, of course, and then I did a stint with Guanabats as well for a little while. So that was a great place to be, man.
A psychobilly festival wasn't complete without you guys.
Dude, wow, that's very, very cool, man. And I would love to see the band get back together again. I don't know if that's ever in the cards.
I'm going to play a quick clip of 2008 at the Needle Factory, and then we'll go back to what you were saying right there. And like I said, this is where I noticed myself drunk in the crowd. I'm like, ugh. But yeah, you're at the end, but they could barely see you. But this gives people an idea of how large the crowd was. I can't remember the last time I seen a crowd this large and this energetic for a psychobilly show. At least, hold on. was a different time.
Woo! That's so, man, where was that up on YouTube?
That was on YouTube. Yeah, there's that one. There's one with some the paddling when they bring people on stage. That definitely can't happen now. Where they would do the paddling. Girls go up and get paddled for like a fucking T-shirt or for a CD.
Oh, that can't happen now. Yeah.
There'd be lettuce all over the stage from fucking Spike spitting out lettuce.
Yeah, we had so much fun, man. We had anything goes. You know, you just never knew.
Yeah.
Spike is just, to me, a brilliant front man. I never knew what he was going to do next. You never knew, man. He'd be like, if there's a trash can to the side of the stage, he'd jump in and he'd be standing in this trash can singing, you know? He'd come out and dressed like an old man with a walker, you know, holding a dirty magazine, like kind of like leading him to the stage, you know.
Yeah.
He had the blow up fat suits, like, you know, he is really, really fun to work with, man. You know, and then he'd get the all girl pit going.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Those girls were going hard too. It wasn't nothing soft. It was brutal to watch from the outside.
Oh, I can imagine how many broken noses and arms.
Oh my god!
I don't know.
I still got I think it's my left or right ankle still has a click in it whenever I move it from those shows.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, there's a click in my left. I think it's my left ankle. Hold on. Yeah, it's my left ankle, and oh god, like my inner mouth is like scarred up from because I used to have braces, and yeah.
Wow. Good, man. You earned it.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. Well, you know, it's the people that make the scene, man. People like you, man. So it's really, really cool, you know. And I know it's kind of died out here in the States. It looks like there's something going on in Europe, but I'd like to see it all kind of happen again. You know, I'd love to see some festival happen. You know.
Yeah, I've been asked multiple times, like, you know, how to bring it back, or what's the cause of it falling. Like, it's anyone's theory, you know.
Yeah,
I have a couple of theories I brought up before, but
what's your thought? Why do you think it's?
Oh well, a couple of things. One was one main band to pop out and hit the mainstream at the time. It was Necro and Tiger Army, and still to this day, it's still Necro and Tiger Army. You know, and the horror pops kind of came in at the right time too. The style was kind of popular with the hair. I remember I couldn't go anywhere without seeing the psychobilly. Also, too, the '50s look was still somewhat in our culture. It was still somewhat mainstream. Not mainstream, but there were still movies. Because one thing I mentioned too about is I think not only bands and music's important, but film and television is important. You know, we had films that took place in the 50s and 60s. You know, we had like, even though there were rerun shows like Happy Days, you know, we had like old movies like La Bamba. It was still in the zeitgeist, I guess you could say. It was still out there.
Yeah. Yep. It's all got to be. Yeah.
And then trends go up and down. I remember right before that, punk was huge, and that kind of started. That kind of slowly died as psychobilly went in, and then right around that time, ska got popular.
Right. You know, trends go up and down, and there's no reason why it can't come back again.
Absolutely.
You know?
A lot of bands, I think also too for some reason with this scene, people age out of it. They don't stick around. I noticed once they get a certain age, they kind of leave. It was a very young crowd, unlike in Europe where it's a very old crowd. People stick to it. It doesn't really happen here in the States, unlike other scenes. I know, like you go to a metal show, it's either very young or very old.
Yeah. All I know is all I met was cool people in psychobilly, no matter what country it was. People were really, really cool. And really, really fun, and always ready to have a good time. So, and you know, I don't even have any tattoos. You know, I'm clean, and you know, I don't know. My hair doesn't want to do a quiff. I could do a little one at this point, there, little, but I didn't have that look and vibe. You know what? And nobody cared. You know, everyone. I think people get intimidated, like you have to look a certain way. And I think in general, the audience for psychobilly is just really, really accepting, you know, and Yeah.
One thing too I'd mention as well. Fuck, what was I gonna say? See, I always feel like I'm missing something, but I had so many different theories, and I've heard people who had good ones too.
Mhm.
What's it called? So not only because I remember one example I could bring up, I could think of remember when the Johnny Cash film came out, how it was really popular. All of a sudden, everyone was into Johnny Cash. That's
Right.
one example I could think of.
Yeah.
And I know, like right now, recently, remember how Stranger Things got popular? All of a sudden, everyone's into the '80s and
Right.
'90s. So whenever there's something not only in movies but film and televisions, I think something that we need for this scene too as well.
Yep. Yep.
One thing
Um,
too is music's more disposable than it was back then. Everything's just digital. It's not earned. You don't go out and seek it anymore. It's just so easy. Like these clips are so easy to find. Barnyard Ballers are so easy to find. A thing you could just type in and then like find it. You don't. It lost some of its that feel you get when you explore things. I still remember the first time I saw the Barnyard Ballers album with the Ass Cheeks. I still remember when I first saw the Necromantics and I saw the Coffin Bass. There's a certain feeling you get from that subculture. Like, oh my god, nobody's into this. Now
yeah.
everything's kind of a click away.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's it. I think it's part of a bigger social thing with technology and still trying to figure it all out, and it like in history of clicks that happen, there's usually you've got bands, and the bands have to be buddies. The bands have to network. They have to all want to work together. They have to like stick and watch the whole show, not like leave when some other band is going on.
Yeah,
And
or ones that will just show up only to play. Like they won't be there. They'll show up to play, then leave. They'll be in the parking lot.
Right, exactly. So if bands, so a lot of it's on the bands. And I'm going to say this too, and this might not be popular, but, not enough bands really learn their instruments like some of the newer bands, like really, really like how many of them know Buck Owens guitar work and really know Johnny Cash, and how many drummers can play a swing and a shuffle and a country train beat. And get all that stuff together, So I'm going to say some of it is on the bands. That I don't think that I'd like to see more bands dig in deep and really know the roots of all of these different styles and start coming up with
Kind of like,
some.
for instance, like say they want to play a certain style. They'll be influenced by Barnyard, but they won't follow the influences that Barnyard followed to get to where they're at. They don't go to the source of it. They maybe it kind of gets watered down. You're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's a lot of what I teach. If
That's a very good point you're making. I'm adding that to my list.
Led Zeppelin, like you have drummers come in like, oh, I want to play like John Bottom,
I've never hear that.
Well,
most kids like who?
Who is Led Zeppelin? But and then it's like, cool, let's dive into their thing. But what was their influence?
Exactly, yeah.
And that's really, really, really helpful to know where you're going, know where you've been, and know where you can go.
I find myself doing that too. I'll mention it again too when it comes to subcultures or scenes. Has to do with everything from media, not only like I mentioned, films, television, also books, literature you read. So stuff I like. So for instance, I'm into Star Wars, or I was, not so much Disney. So I started looking into some of the stuff that influenced Star Wars, like some of the old pulp stuff, the old what's it called? Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon was one of the things too.
Right.
And then same thing with comic books. I'm looking at the old Shadow comic books or old Conan now. I want to find what inspired the new ones.
Exactly.
As opposed to the other ones where watered down. They're inspired,
Yeah. I mean, and this goes with everything, I think, in our culture. That like, if you want to be a dancer, you better look back to Fred Astaire and Sammy Davis Jr. and watching the dancing in like goofy musicals in the 40s, right?
Yeah.
If you want to be a great sport person, what was it that made Babe Ruth so good, right? You just got to dig in. I mean, and this probably goes for every career there actually is like knowing what actually worked. And maybe because we're such a fast-paced culture now, everybody wants, Instagram, 90 seconds. They want to learn stuff in 90 seconds rather than doing the work and digging in deep. And so what I think we've got is a lot of surface learning
I think before technology, you kind of had to do that, as we mentioned earlier in the early 2000s and 90s for the scene. Now it's kind of it's hard to avoid technology. Like I'm mentioning how the stuff I'm into now, I'm going digital with it, but now I'm trying to like find physical. For like I mentioned, like I was listening to Shadow episodes, but it was on YouTube. So like, how do I get the original? Are they on tape? Are they on records? Are they? And I like listening to the old timey language too. People don't talk like that anymore, and the old sounds and voice acting. That's a skill too. Voice acting.
Yeah. That's the whole thing too. Like Spike, we had that country Western punk vibe thing, Spike had this book of Western phrases, like he dug in like this, like little yips and little things that people said, back in that era, probably going back to Gene Autry or something like that, and he would pepper that in sometimes on stage. And it was like, wow, it just made it really, really cool and authentic. So I think if people combine that with all the pros of technology, like look what we're doing right now, man. This is amazing, right? I'm on a drum kit. It's mixed. We're talking, we're popping up videos. I mean,
we're hours away too.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
one thing I was going to ask you too, you mentioned how trends come and go. What trends do you see lately as far as drumming? Like when I went to go buy my nephew a drum set, I was so used to the what's it called, the 5-piece drum set, but the guy's like, oh, those are out of style now, so I had to get like a 4-piece.
Yeah. Well, in drumming right now, there's people who play in bands that get gigs, and they're serving the song. And they're playing the right part for the song, which a lot of time is more laid back. It's serving the music, right? Like not every drum part should be a drum solo, right? You got to leave some room for the bass player. You got to leave some room for the vocal line, right? And so that's being musical. Now the trend now is Instagram and YouTube and quick little videos. Which are all chops. They're all fast. They're all riffs.
And I noticed there's a trend of attractive women playing drums too, which I'm guilty of looking at.
Yeah, there is a huge trend of that, and people will watch. Of course, are going to watch a pretty girl who plays drums. Some of them are brilliant, some are not, and they're still getting clicks, right, and getting likes and all. And so, like if I'm like, man, I'll do a video where I'm riffing like crazy, playing really fast tom stuff and all.
Show me an example.
Let's see. I'm just kind of rambling nonsense out there, just playing some
easy stuff.
Yeah, I'm just riffing. I'm just riffing there, So that is not what you likely are going to play in most songs. Maybe you're going to play that here and there. Here and there, right? But combined with some more laid back stuff. But if I'm like, maybe the best thing for the song is just simple, right? So if I played a video on YouTube where I'm just going, nobody's going to want to watch that.
Yeah, unless you play a track with it that shows you why you're doing it and how that like you mentioned earlier, how that rhythm is used in so many different songs throughout, I guess, music history.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like so if you play fast and play crazy, you're going to get more views. So younger players think that it's all about the riffs. They think it's all about the speed, which isn't always what is needed as a musician. So it's almost like extreme sport drumming kind of thing. There's some guys who make videos who play so super fast, but really they're not in any bands because it's just like what they're doing is maybe not that musical. So that's kind of what the trend is to kind of show off,
Well, Which
But
is
I'm not showing off. I mean, obviously, I'm a big ham bone. I love to play fast.
interesting.
Yeah.
So let's go into how you went from.
I did want to mention the women drumming thing. Half of my students are women, and it's so fantastic now because women are starting to play drums like crazy, and it's about time that women are drumming, and they're so good. There's so many amazing women drummers out there now, and they're just they're there's a Facebook group, Drummer Girls United, and there's like 10,000 drummers. So half of my students are women, and it's just really, really fantastic.
So that's a good trend going on right now then.
Yeah, it's a really, really great trend, and sure, there's some girls who aren't the greatest, who are like, not wearing much, and they're getting some likes, but that's beside the point. There's just a lot of slam dunk rock and roll, great in every style, women drumming.
No, music's very beneficial, especially at a young age. I know George, my co-host, isn't here right now. He recently started getting his daughter into music lessons for the piano, and then they got band lessons and stuff too. So I want to get my nephew into it, but he's not quite ready. I bought the drum set, but now we don't have a space for it. But it's like, as I mentioned earlier, I was trying to find one, because I'm used to the two toms up top, and the guy told me, nope, it's out of style. I'm like, is it? Like, I guess I'm getting old.
Nah, dude. To me, it's such a shame, because 3 toms would be a 5-piece kit, right? Each piece is a drum, or each drum is a piece. So kick, snare, 3 toms is a 5-piece kit, right? You could do so much with that, and it's more melodic. You could be more creative with that. I think manufacturers are just trying to cut back. So they just are selling all these kits with just 2 toms, a mounted tom and a floor tom.
And they charge the same price, maybe?
I think it just cuts their costs down a lot, less shipping, and I don't know. I'd have to price stuff out, but I just feel like it's this weird thing. Like, come on, you're only going to give me 2 toms. Now with psychobilly in general, you can pull it off with a 4-piece kit.
Yeah.
But when I do covers, I'll do a lot of teach people drum charts here at the studio, classic songs, like you name a classic rock band, and if you're doing a chart or a cover band, almost all of that, you're going to see the drum parts, you're going to see the drum music, and it's for 3 toms on a 5-piece kit. Like almost always. So I don't know, maybe people are lazy. don't want to reach that.
So for your academy or for your drum school, it's only in person. Is there anything online you could do? Because I know you have your setup here.
I do a lot of when COVID hit.
I was thinking COVID,
I really kept it going, and I do a lot of online drum lessons with people. So I have students out of state. As long as they're on their set and they've got a computer and I can see them, and they can see me and hear me, we could do a great drum lesson. And it actually is a real good idea, because then I could see what a student's setup is, and usually their setups are not good. Their drums are set up ergonomically not right, so the reach is awkward, And a big part of drumming is your height, where your feet are at, where you're sitting, everything in easy reach, not like this kind of stuff. That's how you get funnel and injuries, man. So, I've been doing this for decades and decades and decades, and I have no injuries whatsoever, thank God. But a lot of it is taking all those lessons that I took, years and years of lessons with different people. I'll still go to master classes and learn from people. And that's helped prevent injuries, and that's how you get the speed, and that's how you can keep it up. I mean, you really got to know what you're doing. And my drum corps stuff that I did, or marching band in high school.
Oh yeah. So you were taught professionally as a kid, right? Is that what you're saying with
Oh yeah. I studied. I was in school band. in the jazz band and in the orchestral band and the marching band. So I had that, and we had there was funding for teachers who came in, who would teach us. So you get free drum lessons in high school. That was crazy. So
Yeah,
support the arts, people. And I mean, everybody's supporting sports, but I had that, and then I had private lessons too. What were you going to say, Bear?
No, I was going to say, because I remember when I was in school, they had the marching band. I wasn't in the marching band. I wasn't in the senior band in middle school or whatever. So I remember, messing with brass and then drums, but I was kind of just doing it just because, it was an easy class. I wasn't really studying. Like, I never learned how to read music. This was one of my regrets. And I kind of wish I had the patience to do it now, but it's funny. I'll find the patience to look back and find old physical media for or research old media for the stuff I'm into now. Like you mentioned, go to the source, but I can't make myself learn how to read music.
Yeah.
It's only so much my brain could take, it feels like. I don't know if it's just because my older age or just my attention span.
I think honestly, I think anyone can do it. It's finding the right person to help you do it.
Yeah.
That's it. You got to find that mentor or teacher person to do it. So,
you were saying support the arts. So I want to stop you real quick. You said support the arts. Is there still music programs in school? Because I really don't know.
That's a great question. There are, but they're limited. I was just up at the NAMM show, the National Association of Music Merchants up in Anaheim.
Yeah, I've been there before.
It's the scene, where all the manufacturers are demoing their products, and the retail people come in, and the endorsement artists are all there. So it's a big, big scene. I saw Stevie Wonder there. That was pretty cool. And that was just this morning. And I just got back, from NAMM to do this today with you. And man, the hotel I was staying at had a huge ballroom, and there was a symphony orchestra. It was like youth symphony orchestra. And so I must have seen like 1,000 kids wearing black and white ties and string instruments and all the woodwinds and percussionists. And they're all these like teenagers dressed so cool, man. They're all wearing black. They got the white ties. They look so classy, man. And I was just like, thank God that we've got that, and it's going to breed some real calmer, more level people, and God knows what.
Before I cut you off talking about the arts, you said a lot of people. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, a lot of times, drummers come in and they want to learn this instrument by ear, and they've peaked and they've plateaued. And when I teach them to read drum music, they get it. They really understand, and they can grow, and they can really dissect. Like I can pull up drum charts that's going to have note to note, and you can really figure it all out. Like what drummers are doing if you learn to read drum music. And it's not really that hard to learn to read drum music. So a lot of people have limiting beliefs. They say, man, you just got to feel it, man. And they'll cite some genius person on drums who started when they were 3 years old, who never needed to read. But if you learn to read drum music, man, that's how I remember so many songs. I could read the thing, I could visualize and see the drum part with written music, and then I can memorize what's going on. If I read it, then it's just like written words are to language. I can't memorize a book, but I can read a book, reference it. So, So, like if you name a cover song, I could find a drum chart and I could read it, and I'll play that cover song note for note, just what the drummer did within reason. I mean, some of them I could sight read, others you have to spend a lot of time to figure it out, like Rush or something like that.
How's your ear though? Can you pick up my ear pretty well?
Yeah. But it only enhances my ear. It only enhances because I could get a visual and my ear is there too. So I think if you're first starting and some people do rely on it too much, like that person who's a piano player, you say, play piano. And they're like, well, give me the music. that's not what you want to be doing. You don't want to be like have to have music in front of you. You got to develop your ear. So you got to get out and play right away with people. So if you're playing with people, developing your ear and jamming, no matter what the instrument is, and then really studying it from there, that's how you become a powerhouse.
I like to. There's a little clip you put too where you said there's no excuses for not practicing, and you started playing on your sneaker. Hold on, I think I have it. Hold on.
Probably is. Welcome to Rick Stojak's Drum Studio. Guess what? There's never an excuse to not practice anymore because you have a drum pad right in your possession, right on your body. Yes, it's the best drum pad in the world, the sneaker. Everybody's got a sneaker. And look at that feel. It's the best drum pad feel ever. So you can practice your German grip. You can practice your French grip, traditional, right? If that sneaker wears out, you got this one. Look at that. I can practice with that. Look at that. And guess what?
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, I never thought of that, but I probably won't do it. Getting my leg up that high, it's like, But if you're young, you're limber. You could do it.
That's, man, to market my method books and market my teaching, got to make videos, man. You got to create content. And that's an attempt of something that I think is actually useful and helpful. It's a minute long and video and it's actually the truth, but it's just, a little bit funny and entertaining. So it's always product, there's always stuff that I have to, to keep my career going as a drummer, that things that I have to do outside of drumming, figuring out technology to make these videos. And then I have my own podcast with my 3 partners, Drummers Education Connection.
That's cool. So you're using technology. We mentioned how, because being a musician, like you mentioned, it's really hard to make a living off of, but you found a way to use technology, use your talent from your drum tutorials, from your academy, your podcast. Tell me about your podcast.
We started, it was during COVID when we were on lockdown, and 2 drummer friends of mine, we all endorsed drum heads by Aquarian Drum Heads. So one of the guys, this guy Chip Ritter, who's in Arizona, he's a genius drummer and he juggles drumsticks. He's been on the Letterman show doing stick tricks and all. So he calls up and with my other buddy Bart, who's up in LA, and we just started talking about drums. Like how are we gonna keep our business going during the pandemic? And we brought in a 4th partner, a guy named Jeremy Steinkohler in the Bay Area, and we started doing a podcast. And we just thought, let's just interview different drummers and share knowledge about drumming. So we've interviewed like a lot of the top drummers, and it just started helping build a community in the drum world. So we've done 150 podcasts now, and I've gotten to interview some of the most famous drummers in the world, which is really, really cool. We got Todd Zuckerman of Stick coming on soon.
Who are some of your notable or favorites?
Well, I'm excited about who's coming up. We've got Billy Cobham, who is like one of the pioneer jazz fusion drummers. We've had Greg Bissonette, who's the guy with like David Lee Roth. We've had Dave Garibaldi, the guy in Tower of Power, so some funk guys. With the guy from Nashville Pussy,
Nashville Pussy. I remember them. I used to see them open up for the Reverend Horton Heat back in the day.
Yeah. A lot of the guys who've played with like Boz Scaggs, Dave Northrup out in some country drummers, those kind of guys. We've played with some of the, top jazz kind of guys too. And
who was that drummer for the Rev? Was his name Scott?
Scott Chirillo. Yeah.
Yeah. I follow him on Instagram now. You should get him on.
I know. In fact, I just saw him at NAMM and didn't have time. I wanted to talk to him about it. Yeah. He's one of my favorites. psychobilly, rockabilly drummers.
Yeah, I remember watching him. Like I said, like was seeing him with the Rev. It was like, oh my god. I didn't recognize him because I haven't seen him in the Rev for many years. I saw him like, oh, that's him. He has gray hair now. I'm like, oh shit, I'm getting old.
Yeah, that's funny. You should mention him, man. So I did.
Because I'm already thinking right now of all these different guests, like from like this, because I'm thinking, okay, I've come from the psychobilly world, who I'd love to see on your show too, psychobilly wise, or even just Billy wise in general. You know,
yeah,
Slim Jim Phantom.
I know. I definitely should check in and have some guys, or it'd be fun to do maybe a psychobilly drummer roundtable thing sometime on your show.
I'm totally for that. Actually, I haven't announced it yet, but I'm actually planning on doing something like that, maybe once a month. I'm going to do what's it called? I guess a panelist show where I'm going to have different people from different bands. I'm going to test it out. Coming up with I kind of tested out when I had Dax on, Dax and Della Rocca, Panu. So Panu and me talk a lot now, and I want to start doing something similar to what, like you mentioned, a roundtable. We're going to do one again soon for his music video. It's going to be Vic from the Coffin Cats, Panu, and then the guy who does the mixing, who's our sound guy too, Ryan Miles. So that's going to be something coming up too. So we're going to have more of a panelist thing. And I think as time goes on, probably start in February or March, I'm going to start doing, roundtable episodes. Like have you and Dax on, and then go from there. I have a couple of other ideas I haven't done yet. But yeah, it's going to be, I'm going to start using StreamYard now for people who are out of town and like kind of make it like you said, a community. Do whatever I can to try to grow psychobilly again. Younger bands connected with older bands.
Yeah, Bear, and that's what it takes. It's building a community, building an audience, right? You get this, you get some writers, you get a promoter, you get one club. My brother-in-law is Gene Hoglan, who's one of the top metal drummers in the world. He's the drummer for Death Clock, Metalopolis, the Cartoon Network thing.
Oh, yeah. I've never seen it, but I know the memes because my psychobilly band I was in back when I used to open up for you guys turned into a metal band. So we got a metal guitar player, and then I started hearing those memes and those references. So I know who they are. Like I couldn't name a song, but I guess I know the references. Who was the other thing too? That parody band that had a movie. You know what I'm talking about? The parody rock band. They're like a glam rock. Spinal Tap, yeah. I never knew what that was, and then we started playing metal. They started telling me the references. I'm like, oh. You gotta.
That's really, really funny stuff. Yeah. Metalopolis is, that's all Gene, all of his drumming, he's got some of the fastest feet in the world, and he's played with, Testament. He's done stints with Anthrax and Slayer, and he's like a pioneer in death metal, like the bands Death and Dark Angel. So that's that. And my sister-in-law plays with him in Dark Angel, that's all the extreme metal stuff. It's like a different world from psychobilly, but just like psychobilly, man, all these metal people are the coolest people ever, man. They're so mellow. Everybody has this image of them, and they're just like all pussycats. So my sister-in-law Laura is now playing in Dark Angel, and so they're at arena level. They're huge. So
yeah, Dark Angel. I'm gonna look them up.
Yeah, look up Dark Angel. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of something, I wanted to actually thank you for saving my live show like 6 or 7 years ago, the Beer with Bear live show we had where Clax was headlining. And what happened was, I guess there was a miscommunication. I already booked the show. They were headlining. I made the flyer. Everything was set. John, the drummer, he sends me a message saying, "Hey, sorry, I can't make the show. Thank you for considering us." My heart dropped. And I'm like, "Thank you for considering you. Wait, no, you can't drop out." I call Steven. He's like, Bear, we got it taken care of. I mean, what do you mean you got it taken care of? He's like, "Oh, Rick's going to cover." I'm like, okay.
That was that poster was one of my favorite psychobilly posters.
You know what? I had to make you one because I made for the first live show. We made actual printable posters, and I told you I was going to make you something, something paper for that one. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make it. Yeah, I still have the file somewhere. I'll get you something for that.
My garage is basically a psychobilly poster art gallery of shows that I've played. Like I matted them, framed them. I like really high quality matting and framing from all these posters. And
dude, I wish I would have done that. All the flyers from all the shows either I played or went to.
Yeah. I tell you what, man, I spent more on matting and framing all these posters than I made at those gigs.
Well, please do me a favor, and when you get a chance, could you take some pictures or make it a video and like
Yeah.
post it? I would love to see that.
Yeah.
That'd be really, really cool. Because, like I said, you guys been with everyone. You mentioned just a couple of names. You mentioned
Yeah.
Bites, Madsen, Coffin Nails. Ones I saw, and the ones outside. That's just in America. Imagine outside the country.
Yeah. There's a lot of great flyers out there, and I wanted to save them. So yeah, I'll send you some pictures of that. So yeah, playing with class is great, man. Jeremy and Steven are the best. I played with them in Brazil also, and there's definitely a scene down there. 6'6" Senators, those guys have their psychobilly carnival, and so I've done a lot of freelance work as a psychobilly drummer. You know, Bambula, I played with Bambula.
I remember Bambula. I remember they said, "Damn, you're fast!" Like you really pushed them.
Oh man, yeah, we played some fast shit. That's where I was standing and drumming, and that was cool. And I did a stint with Guana Bats for a little while, so in Europe and here. So that was cool. They had big audiences, and so that was cool. Hillbilly Hellcats. Do you know Hillbilly Hellcats?
I do. I was going to bring that up. I love the Hillbilly Hellcats. And second, I remember when you guys were supposed to play the Knitting Factory and you canceled last minute, the guitar player was sitting in the front smoking a cigarette. I'm like, wait, is that it? You're just hanging out in some sneakers in the front? I'm like, what are you doing here? Oh, I'm supposed to play for Barnyard. I'm supposed to cover. And you guys ended up playing. What was that story about?
That's rock and roll stuff that happens. You know, that was the beginning of Spike and Rob not getting along, so Rob moved to Seattle, you know, and it happened real quick, and so it was one of those things he had to do. So that's where the conflict was. And
okay, so that was kind of the beginning of it. So that's where he popped in. So you mentioned Hillbilly Hellcats because there's a connection there. So you subbed for them.
Yeah, I did. It's so funny. I just saw Chuck Hughes, the guitar, you know, of Hillbilly Hellcats at the NAMM show. Now I haven't seen him in years. I toured with them in '99. We did 9 weeks across the country.
I wish I know you would have seen him. Tell him, why didn't you answer my email? I'm trying to get him on.
You trying to get Chuck Hughes on?
Yes, I love the Hillbilly Hellcats. Hillbillies on speed.
Oh yeah. I played all that stuff with them live. It was so fun. I'll hook you up. I'm sure he'll come on.
Sweet.
Guaranteed. He's such a great musician, man, and so hardworking, man. I could do a whole podcast or just about being on the road with Hillbilly Hellcats. Those guys.
I'll tell you what, if you get him, you're coming on with us. We're doing it together. You're my co-host.
Oh man. All right. That'd be really fun, man. That'd be really fun. So now, so I could tell you, Rob from Barnyard Ballers and I are working on a new album.
All right, So what's next for? Okay, that's what I was gonna get to next. What's next for you and for Rob, music wise?
Yeah, Rob. You know, he's got it, man. He's still been writing and playing guitar and playing bass and singing, and he's gonna come out. I don't know when he's gonna. I did all the drum tracks right here at my studio for him and emailed him all the tracks, and he's working on mixing it. And it was one of those, man. The songs were just so good. I was like, I have to play on them.
What's the direction for this one?
It's a combination of upbeat, gnarly psychobilly and kind of like an alternative country vibe. And there's kind of like two sounds to it, kind of like Hank 3. You know how Hank 3 has his two things?
Yeah.
I could play you like some snippets.
I would love to hear that. I would love that.
Let me see if I can get this in the mix and make this work.
No problem.
These are just little. Here's like the alt country. Let me know if the volume is good on this.
Okay.
So Rob's doing everything. I'm just, I'm on drums. Let's see if this will work.
Sometimes people mess with your head. They tell you that it's blue when it's red. Sometimes people wish you weren't around. They mess you up and then they put you down. Sometimes you gotta make them leave. And when you do, sometimes you gotta grieve. And when you can't take anymore, well, that's when you're gonna hear the devil roar. And the devil always and the devil always roars. Devil always roars.
Yeah, the devil always roars.
That's pretty cool. So Rick and Rob back together. I got a question though.
Yeah.
As far as bass players, you guys always had different bass players from the first time album and on. Let's talk about some of that. Like I remember, didn't Johnny Bowler do some of your bass playing? Some of your bass.
Yeah. Like the first album and the Rock Out With Your Cock Out, Rob did all the bass playing live. I'm sorry, on that album. And then it was just really hard to find upright bass players, you know. When we did the second album, Johnny Bowler did a lot on the second album. And
because I remember I saw him on I didn't know who he was back then until later on. Okay, started getting some of his history. For those who don't know, you want to tell them who Johnny Bowler is?
Johnny Bowler is was with Guanabats for years and years as a bass player and as a drummer. Initially he was the drummer of Guanabats, but he's one of the best bass players in psychobilly, as far as I'm concerned. You know,
Did
Johnny
he do some stuff with Wanda Jackson too.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's played with a lot of people. So he's not in Guanabats anymore, which is
he's out in Vegas now.
Yeah, he's in Vegas, and I love working with Johnny. Johnny was just the best, man. When he did the baller stuff, and then with Guanabats, he was like so fun to work with. Like I really clicked with Johnny. He was really cool. So, and then live we had Vic Yamasaki, Whiskey Vic, Asian guy, badass Asian guy, man. He did a lot of the live shows. Like
that's why I remember that lineup. I remember, I didn't want to call him the Asian guy. I didn't know his name, but I'm glad you did it for me.
Yeah, he was cool, man. This guy all buff with all those tattoos. He'd take his shirt off and go crazy. Yeah,
I heard he got a shoulder surgery or something, and I remember he wasn't playing one time. Like, where's the Asian guy?
Yeah, and really, it was really hard to find bass players, you know, for us. You know, it's like, so we just kind of had this revolving who we get, we'd have to use who we could.
We had Adam from Bambula for a while too.
Yeah, Adam was amazing, you know. So that's kind of fun for me. I got to work with a lot of different bass players. That's the good part. And then, so Rob and I had an experimental industrial psychobilly band, and we were calling it I forgot what we were calling it.
I remember the band because you were on a compilation. I think you're on the Purgatory one, and I'm like, oh, it's a new band. And I was like, dun, 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 dun. I'm like, what?
You know what? Bands have to be experimental. I think you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over. And Rob is just really good with programming and sounds, and he had this sound working in like cool keyboard stuff, like really dark kind of industrial stuff. So it was like an industrial psychobilly experiment. And Kim Neckerman liked it, and Kim Neckerman played all the bass on that project.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Kim. I mean, but there might be a couple tunes that Adam played on it. So that's kind of when Barnyard broke up, and Rob released that album as the Barnyard Ballers. That's when Pigs Fly, and Rob released that as the Barnyard Baller CD. So, but Spike's not on that, so it's really, you know, an offshoot of Barnyard Ballers. So,
Yeah,
but that's Kim Neckerman on bass on most of that stuff. So I think that music was a little too experimental for the general psychobilly scene. And I think people miss Spike on vocals. So
yeah, I'm sorry. Like, without, like, you kind of need all of you, you know, like I said, Rob, like, you got to have fucking Spike. You got to have Spike in the Barnyard Ballers.
Yeah, exactly. So,
like, I could say we do. I prefer Rob, but we saw what it was like without him. It was still good. Not the same, but it was still good. But no Spike, no dice.
Yeah. Well, I would say there's never going to be a Barnyard Baller show unless Spike and Rob agree to work, and then the three of us would do it and grab a bass player.
Well, we gotta make it happen, Rick. You and me are gonna freaking work hard, get Spike and Rob back together.
Yep, I'm like, hey guys, I sent a text out like, hey, we ain't getting any younger, you know. But Rob has ambitions for this new project, man. And there's some real fast, like, if you know, like upbeat, crazy psychobilly. I'll just give you a second of this one. I don't want to take too much time, but Rob.
No problem. Give me a second.
It's called Rooster Rob.
All right.
So time for Barnyard Baller. So this is Monkey.
Okay, I gotta be 100% honest with you. I like it, but especially in that beginning part, all I could hear was Spike. I could hear Spike's like where Spike's vocals would have been. I could totally. That sounds like fucking Barnyard Ballers. I hear Spike singing on it. Like, it's good, but it's missing something. It's like, okay, this is good, but it needs more salt. It's really good. It needs Spike.
Oh my God!
I'm sorry, Rob.
I would.
That sounds like the fucking Barnyard Ballers.
Yeah. You know what I love about Rob's songwriting is, like, as a drummer, I can play all different kinds of grooves to it. I mean, it's it's jazz, right?
Yeah.
And it's got the shuffle and it's got the punk. I mean, there's
that part where the guitar goes wham. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
That's the feel right there. That's God, man. We got to make it happen.
I know, man. I know and that's what I love about psychobilly and and Rob's songwriting, because you could go, I call it groove shifts. You got a punk groove, you got a jazzy groove, which nobody's going to go in this scene is going to go jazz. Like, but there's jazz drumming in there. Sorry if people don't want to accept that, but there's jazz drumming in there. You know, that's what that is. It's just got distorted guitar with that ping, you know, that jazzy vibe. So,
well, that's the best thing about psychobilly, which we bring up all the time on the show, is how it's very, very, it could go from one end to the other very easily. You could have bands like the Barnyard Ballers, bands like Guana Bats, and have bands like B'nai Metalik or the Klingons. Or and it's all psychobilly, and you do that within the other scene. It's like, nah, it doesn't work. It's not punk, or it's not rockabilly. You have limits, not with psychobilly. Yeah, and they can all play the same show too.
Yeah, that's right.
Night 1, night 2,
and I think the audience is cool with it too. You know, like they're like this. You know, it's a little fresh. You know, and so, that's why it's the coolest scene there is, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I wish Frank Quaranted was here, because he's still deep in it. Because the Quaranteds still play all the time. He has his finger more in the pulse than I did. They make fun of me all the time. Like, Barry, you never go out. I'm like, I know I don't go out nearly as much as I should. I'm trying to fix that. I'm already thinking of a panel. Go ahead.
Show. You'll have to go.
Oh no, I'll go. I remember when you guys first got back together. I'm like, hey, you're like, hey, I saw you in the front row. I'm like, dude, I was right there in the front. You know, I had to sit through that fucking the girls dancing, which was funny too. There's girls dancing like with the fucking tassels and shit. I was like, get off the fucking stage. I want to see Barnyard.
Well, dude, I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for letting me come on your show. I really had a good time.
Thank you for letting me hear the new stuff. Thanks for coming on. And like I said, you're coming back on. I want to talk to Rob. I want to talk to Chuck. I'm already thinking of a round table for you. I already got a few ideas of people to bring in, like to have with you.
Cool. That would be great. That would be great.
And then, like I said, I'm gonna check out your podcast just once you start bringing some psychobilly on.
Yeah, all right.
No, I don't mean that I won't now, but I'm saying I'll have more interest if you bring on.
Yeah. No, seriously, man. You give me a great idea. I should look up some of my psychobilly drummer friends.
Batmobile. He's very, get some Batmobile.
Man.
You ever talk to Baby Genius from Goddamn Gallows? Amazing drummer, also just a great guy.
Yeah, I like his drumming a lot, but I've never really connected to him.
I'll connect you with them.
Batmobile, that's that whole side of psychobilly drumming. That's just groove and pocket. It's not all fancy like all the shenanigans that I like to play.
Yeah.
Right, just laying it down, and it's a beautiful thing,
Is there any other Barnyard songs or psychobilly songs you could show me real quick before you go? I know you did a couple of videos you posted. I know you had something queued up. Do you have anything queued up? I'm just kind of curious because we're going to wrap it up soon. I want to see some of your talents before we finish.
You could look on YouTube. I did a I did a cover. If you go to my YouTube channel,
in the bottom right there is his link tree. For those watching and listening, I'll put that on the description for this episode. I'll put his link tree on there.
I did a video of Psycho Bitches Out of Hell by the Horror Pops.
Oh, that's right. I did see that one. I was going to clip that one, but I went for Happy Ignorant People. One thing I wanted to get a commentary on too is what's it called? Blood Feud. That was one of my favorite songs from you guys, and it's not perverted. Hold on. That was a cool one. I like it because it has heavy snare in the beginning of it too. It's not perverted. I could play that one around my family.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Hold on, you're cutting out. Repeat that. I lost you.
All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Ah, you can hear me. Yeah. Yeah, Blood Feud was a real fun one. The thing about it is the lyric is Blood Feud, but people think that we're saying F you.
Yeah, I was guilty of that myself in the very beginning.
Yeah, I know people come up and say, hey, man, I really like that song, F you. And I'm like, we don't have a song, F you. What are you talking about? And it turned out that it was Blood Feud. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I was guilty, but I learned eventually. Still a hell of a good song. Very good, very good. That part with the bass, boom, 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 boom. It's very simple but very powerful. And then the way the vocals come in, I hate you. Like I said, everything. With Rob, with you, with Spike, it was just it was pure gold. And was that Johnny Bowler on that one?
I think so. I can't be certain.
Yeah.
So many years ago, but I'm pretty sure that's Johnny Bowler on upright bass. I'm pretty sure. That song's got that cool little tempo breakdown too, where it gets kind of always thought it felt like a little. Got that little gunk, and then
you're bringing your jazz skills.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why it's just so fun, man. So that's the whole thing, man. You jump into a genre that you might like and you get all over it, but then you could draw from it and create stuff that you do like that's influenced by something totally outside the box.
So we're going to wrap it up now because we're going almost at 2 hours here. My battery is running low and my freaking phone, people are texting me something. I hope it's something important. But where can the people find you? I have your what's it called? I have your stuff. I'm going off in the bottom here for the people watching, but what about for the people listening?
All right. Yeah. RickStojak.com. It's Stojak, Stojak, not C, not like Jack and Jill. So Stojak.com. And then Facebook and Instagram, just look up Rick Stojak. So,
and for any fans out there of you, whether it be Barnyard or for your students, anything you can say to them?
Just how grateful I am to be able to be a drummer and help them out and inspire them, especially, younger drummers coming up and really older drummers too. I have a lot of adults who come in and they want drum lessons and it levels them out. It keeps them mellow and it gives them something to do. And then they're part of a scene. And I'm just grateful to be able to do that for a living now. So, and yeah, man. And everybody in the psycho scene has just been so cool to me. I just, it's like the best people in the world. So I'm grateful for that. Bear, for you, man. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
It was. Like I say, no, you're coming back. You are coming back.
We'll do it. That would be great, man. Then. Cool, brother.
Right, this is Beer with Bear with Rick Stojak. Thank you very much.
Take care, everybody. Thanks.